All right, and joining me on the phone now, he is the head coach of St. Joseph's College in West Hartford, Connecticut, as well as a basketball Hall of Famer, coming off his school's first conference championship win in program history. Coach Jim Calhoun is on the phone. Coach, how you doing today?
Well, like a lot of people, I'm trying to find things to do, but more, I guess, I'm trying to make sure that my family's safe and as many people as I know is safe, and give my blessings and the Calhoun blessings to everybody out there, because this is a difficult time, but it's also a dangerous time. I just hope that everybody's following the recommendations to make sure that we all stay healthy.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I think it's something that as time has gone on, we realize how serious this is and that people need to be staying home and protecting watching the guidelines. Outside of, playing it safe, I mean, how are you passing the time? I'm guessing you probably haven't spent this much time around the house very often throughout the past probably 50 or so years of your life.
Yeah, I can't remember. I guess when I had my knee replaced or something like that, where I had no choice, I couldn't get around, but I do have a large property here in the sense of nobody's out here except us,
Sure.
like Pat and myself, and our coyotes and our deer and our bobcats and that stuff out here in Concord. But I also have an unofficial hole, actually plays legit, and I go out here golf balls. I watch TV, and the big thing I've done, I probably am going through, let's see, in 2.5 weeks, I've probably gone through at least 3.5 to 4 books.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've watched. I hadn't thought of my Ray Donovan from last year. Homeland. I can give you some other stuff. I'm watching the series, and by the way, those are at as usual. I like to eat a lot, and so I gulp. I usually do 2 or 3 episodes at a time. But bottom line is that I'm on the phone a lot. Talking to my players and talking to coaches and helping some guys who are possibly getting another job. Talking to Steve Peichel for a great recruit he got.
Yep.
I got a whole bunch of different things that obviously for me would be normal.
Yeah, you cut out there for half a second. So what TV are you watching? I heard you say Ray Donovan. And what else are you watching now?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, Homeland, Peaky Blinders, which is a great thing from BBC, but it's talking about an Irish family in 1919 in Birmingham, England. So it's about actually an Irish mafia, which is really interesting. But bottom line is that you get the opportunity to, once again, to maybe look at another world besides just basketball and education.
So I remember you back in the day being an American Idol guy. Are you still into American Idol when we get a new season here and there?
I am, actually, and everybody says, Coach, you're too old for that. First, I'm too old for anything. Well, there are just things. But I haven't run a marathon recently, so I get that part of it. But I think that anytime you watch somebody do something wonderfully great, young, old, it makes no difference to me. It's kind of wonderful to see, and I like all kinds of things. That's why I like movies. That's why I like theater. I just watched Harriet Tubman yesterday, a movie, which I really, really enjoyed. I think, once again, I'm not a man for all seasons, but I enjoy all seasons.
What do you make of, what do you remember of Taylor Hicks's season in American Idol? Because Taylor's a friend of mine. He's been on this show many times. Big college football fan. I'm trying to get him into hoops. He's not as big of a hoops guy.
I never ever realized that the great, and you've seen it on American Idol and other places, and I actually I went to see a Garth Brooks concert one time. I got a chance to meet him.
Sure.
How much the carryover between country, western, pop, etc., and obviously it blends in pretty good right now. Just once again, I talk about talent, watching people make magic and tell stories with their voice. Pretty special stuff.
Very good. I do want to talk about the season itself. So the last time I spoke with you, St. Joe's, a D3 program, which as of, I believe, about 4 years ago, did not have male students on campus. They started admitting male students. They bring you on and your staff to help build a men's basketball program. And here you are, year 2. You're coming off a conference championship, 26-3 overall, 25 straight wins. I just want to get to the bottom of how do you go from, or what were the steps going from literally not having a guy on campus to now being 26-3 after 2 years with the program?
Yeah, and the good thing is we ended up winning our conference 14-0. We ended up being ranked 14th in the country. in our second year. And by the way, second year, they were only on campus. About 4 years ago, I was there 3 to start recruiting. But that may have been the start to the whole thing, Aaron. Very simply, getting good players. And getting players that fit in a small school like St. Joe's and understanding what we can do for the university in its growth. It's 93 years old. But to really do something special. As an anecdote, today I was speaking with our president, Dr. Free, and we're pouring cement today on our new gymnasium. We sold out our little gym last year. 500 people is great. But next year we'll have a new gym with hope to up to 1,000 people there, brand new. It's going to be really cool. So I'm saying we're jumping forward. So whether it be a new gym, whether it be having people understand the great things that St. Joseph's offers as an institution, and when you know what you have at home, but I mean at St. Joe's, you can attract a lot of good kids who just want the opportunity to play basketball.
So you mentioned being kind of a St. Joe's kid, and I was kind of fascinated as I watched you guys have success this year. I mean, you're used to going to the big primetime AAU. You're watching, future NBA guys and all that stuff. I've heard you talk about it in other places, but I'd be curious. I mean, how do you go about evaluating guys at this level? Because it's not as easy to just walk in the gym and identify this guy or that guy or this guy or whatever. I mean, how do you go about evaluating recruiting for a level like that? Because it's obviously completely different, I'm guessing, than what you did for 30 years at UConn.
Yeah, the evaluation isn't as difficult, in all honesty, because, the best players that you get are the players you can get. A lot of people run after kids who already have scholarships. We don't give scholarships to Division III, but maybe they qualify academically. 5 of our kids are on very, very good academic scholarships. They're very good students. A couple of kids are on what we call Kaplan scholarships, where they attended and graduated 4 years with over a 3.0 from a Catholic high school.
Okay.
Financial aid. There's other reasons why kids can come there, and you have to be stay within the rules, but be creative enough to identify the player first. It's just in you, and can you get him? I never try to chase many players I can get, and I think that's really important. And then maybe here's the thing I think that's most important: you got to be able to see beyond your own nose, which means you got to be able to see more than what you see on the floor. You see a 6'7" kid, a little thin, runs like a deer, but not physical enough. I got a kid that I saw a couple of years ago, went to junior college, came back to us this year. He shot 68% from the field, averaged 17 points a game and 9 rebounds, because I saw him 2 years ago, almost 3 years now, play for us this year, had a terrific season, because I could see beyond my own nose. I could see the future a little better for him. Kid Deljon Jackson, Prince Tech kid from Hartford, Connecticut, had 46 points in a championship game against Albertus this year, averaged over 20 points a game. Rookie of the year in our league last year, and made the all-regional Northeast team play on the line. I don't care if he's only 5'8". He can play any place, and I just think that's what you've got to see as opposed to worry too much about everything else around them. If they're good students, good kids, want to work, and they have ability to be something, then you got to make sure you try to recruit them and don't worry about anything else. I mean, once again, I don't think any of the kids I have right now, pretty sure they aren't going to play in the NBA, but they can play,
Yeah, and I was going to say, I remember you even saying this back to your UConn days. I mean, I vividly remember the story that Jeremy Lamb, who's, I believe, in his 8th, 9th NBA season right now, I don't believe he had started a high school game before you guys offered him at UConn. So that's something that you and your staff has always taken pride in, right?
Well, I don't think there's any question. The God rest his soul, Richie Lewis, great star for the Celtics, played at Dunbar High School, one of the great, basketball programs in the history of high school basketball. Never started a high school game either. Became an all-star, captain of Celtics before he was done time death at 27 of a heart attack. Well, in some way, Jeremy Lamb was homeschooled to the senior year in high school. Never played a high school game. And when I saw him that year, offered him, and eventually he came. And I just think, as I said, you got to be able to see not just today, but what you think the future can be. Once you find out if the kid really worth and for himself, working as hard as he possibly can work to be the best he can be, work every day on achieving academically, socially, and obviously athletically.
So was that something even dating back to your UConn days where maybe you walk in and you see a quote-unquote 5-star, quote-unquote McDonald's All-American, but maybe you're watching him go through layup lines or you're watching him in practice, when he thinks that nobody's paying attention, and you just said, this kid doesn't want it or this kid doesn't have it? Because, I do find as I cover more and more college basketball, without picking on anyone specifically, there are some programs, some teams, some coaches, and I think it's the natural inclination. A kid is ranked highly or somebody else thinks something of him, and you offer him a scholarship or you try to bring him into your program based on what somebody else thinks. And, talking to people that I know in the business, that's one of the biggest mistakes coaches make is they're too worried about what everybody else thinks of a guy rather than what their own eyes see, kind of what you said, beyond your nose.
I don't think there's any question about that. This young kid I saw when he was a sophomore, he's quick as a cat, little, about 5'8" at the time. He had got cut in his freshman year, a kid named Kemba Walker. Cut his freshman year at Rice High School. He eventually became a very good player his senior year, but people weren't quite sure because of his size. Did he try to score much? I don't know. He could really play. And no one ever told me to score too much. I think it's a good idea to score a lot. So you combine that with his personality, his leadership. He eventually, grew to be almost 6 feet. Powerful, great kid, undersized, and now an all-star, and obviously a great player for us at UConn, and obviously now in the NBA. And I think that, once again, I'm not a guy that, how tall you are, what you weigh doesn't really ever factor in me. But how hard you play, how good you want to be, how willing you are to work. Do you let me coach you? I mean, are those desires all with you? And will you not say you want to be good, but do the things that make you good? That's what I really want to see in a kid. When I see that, that's the kind of player I want to have.
So how can you evaluate that? Because that's fascinating to me, because every kid says, no, coach, I'm willing to put in the extra work. I'm ready to do whatever you need me to do. I'm ready to run through a wall. And this is, again, no disrespect to any specific kid, but there's some kids that talk the talk, and then either they aren't willing to do it, or they don't realize what hard work actually is. I mean, how can you identify that? What you just said is so fascinating about a kid that is not only can put in the work, but willing to put in all that extra work.
Well, I remember a kid named Ben Gordon.
Sure.
We actually had a lot of conversations. So I got a call after Ben was only a 6'2" guy, which a lot of people didn't think he'd be a great 2 guy. He played 12 years in the league, averaged 17 points a game. 6th man of the year in the league. Well, anyways, so he's coming up his senior year, and I liked him. Good student, good kid, worked hard. I get a great phone call, which sounded like a bad phone, from his high school coach somewhere the next 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning that Ben had been arrested by the police.
Ooh.
What? Yeah, he had snuck into the gym at Mount Vernon at 12 at night shooting. That was like music to my ears.
Yeah.
I said, that's the kind of kid I need. I still remember that phone call. And obviously he became a great player first, number 3 guy taken the draft, had a great pro career. And my point being is that I talk to coaches. I watch a kid in practice. I talk to people who play against them. Those are really the important things. And I think that, as I said, don't tell me how much he weighs. Don't tell me how tall he is. What can he do? And what does he want to do? What is he capable of doing? Or more importantly, you hit it right. What is he willing to do? Because everybody thinks they work hard. Not everybody works hard. It's just that simple. And I just think that's really, I remember I get a pretty good guy who dunked the ball all over the place. And I saw him get 62 points against the famous Riverside Church back in the day. He was playing for a team out of Virginia, a kid named Ray Allen. He was a dunker then, a great jumper. He got to college, and the same athletic ability, same pride in everything he did, be it academically, the way he dressed, the way he took care of himself. He was more than willing to become obsessive, become one of the great shooters of all time. And I just think, but you see signs of those kind of players by talking to other people, by watching the kid yourself, by truly, don't tell me what you do, show me what you do.
I love that. Let me ask you this. So many coaches and people in basketball and in life and society in general, kids have changed, kids of this, kids of that. And part of it, times have changed. Everything changes. Everything evolved. Do you think kids have changed? Do you feel like they're the same at their core that they were when you started this 40, 50 years ago? I mean, what is your opinion when somebody tells you, well, kids today are so different than they were 20 years ago?
Well, society has changed.
Yep.
And therefore people are going to change. And so when that happens, I think that I need a bigger carrot now, along with the baseball bat. You know what I'm saying? By that I mean, you got to show them why a little more now. Before you told them why. Now you have to show them why they can be really good. But they still want the same things. They still want to be great. They resist early being pushed as hard maybe as someone like myself would push them. But I push them out of love, caring. And yes, society's changed. Therefore, the kids in society do change. But they still want to be great. They still want to have success. And if you use that as a basis, you just have to use a little different method. Doesn't mean you can't push them. You push them really hard. But you got to show them more reasons why they're doing things as opposed to just tell them to do them.
When you say show them, how is that? Is that by video? I mean, I know a lot of coaches will, if they've coached a Ray Allen and they got a kid who's a wing, they'll show them video of Ray and how they used Ray or whatever. I mean, how do you show a kid?
Well, it's a daily thing. Every single day I have this whole fair about win the day. When a guy comes to practice, I want to make sure they're really good at what they're doing. We'll stop practice time to when he does something special to have success. People want to be good all the time, obviously. You only really want to be good, and I all know this. You'd love it if some person you have great respect for, Jim Nance, walked up and said, "Hey, you're really good, Aaron."
Yeah.
and if his teammates, the people he cares about, will make a big deal out of what he's doing in practice, he starts to see that he's now taking over certain leaderships. So you've got to show them different things. Show them in games. Show them that you truly, if you say you believe in the kid, then you got to show them by playing them. I mean, there's a whole aspect. I've thought about this and get it through. It's not simply just throwing the ball up there. You got to have a game plan.
As far as your team at St. Joe's, one thing I was thinking about as I prepared to kind of call you is I would assume that because you've only admitted men, I think, for maybe 3. I know you've been there for 3 years. I don't know if men have only been allowed for 3 years, 2 years, whatever.
3 years. Yeah, we're going to be entering fall our third year.
So you must have a very young team going into next year, right? I assume most of your core is coming back going forward?
We have every player coming back here.
Wow. You excited about it? Go ahead, Coach. Sorry.
We should be good, and we have let's do seniors next year. So my point being is we are a young team. Now you got to keep them because one of our kids the first year ended up getting a full scholarship to Bryant College, which was great for him.
Sure. Interesting. Do you find it harder, or sometimes bringing back too many vets increase playing time, and now listen, they scored a bunch of points. There's girls on campus. I'm guessing the campus is still like probably 70% female. Is it harder when you bring back too many guys where with the classes kind of split up? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, the problem that you have anytime we start next October, or really in September when they start their workouts, we don't want them to think that it's just an extension of last year.
Sure.
Okay? Because if I remember correctly, we hadn't lost a game. Oh, by the way, we haven't won a game.
Yeah.
So we got to start. And once again, if you bring in a couple of kids, I truly believe that the best way to evaluate kids is get good players around them, push them every single day.
Sure.
You can get overstacked and take a kid who could play other places and isn't playing for you, and that's unfortunate. But we kept our team to about 14, 15 last year. We averaged 11 kids played every game, and other guys off the bench came off. And since we average over 90-something points a game, we play a lot of people, and we come at you pretty good. So bottom line is that we're going to, I agree with you. After 3 national championships, I know the year afterwards was somewhat, we started the season off thinking we were someplace we were 7 months before that, and that's not the way you think. But you know what? Those are the problems. If you're coming off a 26-3 year, that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I remember talking to a coach from the Miami Hurricanes football program around the time that they had Ed Reed and Andre Johnson and Jeremy Shockey, and he told me, and it stuck with me all these years later, was that what happened was when they started to recruit guys, now you aren't recruiting as many guys, but when they started to recruit guys, the guys that they were bringing in thought that they had already won a national championship because they committed to Miami, and they didn't know the work that goes on behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. And so whether it is a young guy coming in or a guy that has already accomplished success, I was just imagining that sometimes, it might be a little bit to kick him in the butt, like you said, and to let him know, hey, last year's done. It's time to move on to 2020, 2021, or whatever it is,
And it's a great point because that's exactly what you have to do. You got to move on, and we got to take this season on the best we possibly can, and we'll be good. We're going to be together, and yeah, there's going to be the idea of, hey, we haven't won a game yet, and after losing in our finals our first year, we have a lot to prove. We're 16-12. Well, we proved enough to win 25 straight. and my point being, what do we do now? Well, now our next aspiration is to win the league again, and then go farther in the NCAA tournament. I mean, we're going to keep putting aspirations up there. UConn used to win. We won a lot of 17 Big East championships.
Jeez.
The goal was then to win a national championship, and after about 8 years of being off the post, 8 years, and then obviously we got a chance to win, and we won a couple more after that, and UConn won another one. My point being is that there's always great goals ahead for every season. We'll have a tougher schedule, I'm sure, and we'll have a lot to be motivated.
You mentioned this a minute ago, but I was reading that the school itself, and again, to reiterate, all females up until 3 years ago. You guys come in, and what I was reading is that out-of-state applications are up, out-of-country applications are up. How proud are you of the role that your guys are playing in kind of just creating awareness for this small school that, frankly, I know exactly where it is. It's a tiny little campus, on the corner of a busy street, and it's kind of surreal, the growth that even I've seen from a distance over these last couple of years.
Yeah, well, especially it's a pretty little campus located in a beautiful area. I mean,
yeah.
It really is, and I think we're right next to West Hartford Center, to Blueback Square, which is a really nice area, and we're like a mile from a downtown. We're 2.5 miles from the Airtel Center. Is the bus lane. My point being, there's plenty there to do, and secondly, the proud thing is the fact that as a school we're growing and we're getting bigger, and our kids. I told them they're pioneers. They're doing something that nobody else in the history of the school will ever do. And I think to go to school and be the pioneers, being the guys who got started, that's pretty special stuff. And I think that I preach that every day, that not only do you represent yourself, your family, but you represent St. Joe's and all of us. And I just think it's really important as we go forward that we're bringing more students. We're helping the name of St. Joe's all over the place, and that's good stuff.
Very good. Speaking of good stuff, you mentioned kind of the UConn stuff. Is it surreal to you? I mean, I saw not this past season, but the season before, you're celebrating the 20-year anniversary of your first national championship. Some of your players are now retired, doing stuff with guys like me in the media, Khalid El-Amin, Karan Butler, all that kind of stuff. Is it surreal to you how much time has passed? Or, I mean, is that just kind of standard operating procedure? Because it doesn't feel like 20 years since you beat Duke in the Tropicana Field, in 1999.
Then that was magical. I talked to a lot of my players, just got some from Rip to Small, and I talked to Khalid, and Karan is one of my guys all the time. And Kevin Freeman, would call me later today. So Jake Bosco, I stay in touch with Jake. And anyways, right down the line. And Ricky Moore was assistant for us at UConn for a while.
Yeah.
Anyways, bottom line, we stay in touch with a lot of our kids. And, the best way to put it seemed like yesterday, and it seemed like it was the start of our incredible run. It really wasn't, but my point being simply is that, it's a magical time. It was wonderful. And then we went on to win other championships, and other great players came. And then, it seemed to me like this. How long ago was it? Kemba had that 11-game run. We won in Big East, 5 games, 5 days, the national championship.
Yeah.
It seemed like yesterday, and then again, it seemed like quite a while ago because a lot of things transpire. So I think that in your journey through life, you just got to be careful enough to not think just about the destinations, all the great moments, and be clear. And, when I get together with my guys and I make a point to contact, and they contact me so much through time that it becomes a ongoing experience that because Rip's not making jumps from me anymore, we're going to try to play golf together. So
sure.
A lot of different kind of things.
Who's the best golfer that you coached at UConn?
Who's the best golfer? What now?
I said, who is the best coacher who is the best golfer that once played basketball for you at UConn?
Donnie Marsh is very good. Ray Allen's a really good player. Ray is a really good player.
That's
Ray
what
Allen's a really good player.
I've heard Ray's very good. You mentioned Karan Butler. I could be mistaken on this, but I believe that you were a groomsman in his wedding. Is that correct?
I wasn't a groomsman. I was honoree by the fact I helped walk him down in place of his dad. He wasn't there. Basically, special guy. My relationship with my players, a lot of them, I come along at a time in their life where they really, really, maybe need another, male adult figure in their life, or, they have their family, obviously, and so I played that role, and Karam was a kid who really had a tough youth and turned out to be one of the great people, not just basketball players. I've met a tremendous player, and now he's doing a great job on NBA TV and ESPN.
So I don't know if you ever would have had the opportunity to go to the NBA, and I'm certainly not asking if you did or any examples, but does being, because you look at somebody like Rick Pitino, and listen, Rick Pitino's been dragged through the mud, and everyone's had their opinions on Rick Pitino, certainly me, but it seems as though he wanted to get back into college basketball because there's something important to him about working with kids 18 to 22, 17 to 23, whatever it is. It sounds like, I'm not comparing you to Rick Pitino in any way, shape, or form, but that was an important element of what you did and why you did it. Is that kind of fair to say, just that being with kids at that age was very important to you?
Well, I had opportunities to coach in the NBA, but I knew from a long time ago it wasn't me. It wasn't me because I like to get a kid that sick of playing. The NBA is all basketball, and that's wonderful. But other things in my life that was important to me, and I was a guy that basketball helped change their life, big family. Mail in my house after my dad died at 15, my sisters, my brother, all that type of thing.
Sure.
That I saw what college basketball did for me, and I tried to make sure that I did that. The same thing they were done for me on the way up as a player, to get me a scholarship to college, to get me there, and then get me to grad school, and get me to coaching, all the kind of things I wanted to do for kids. And so I found my niche. I loved it, and I never really wanted to get away from it. When I got away, I found I missed it, so that's why I'm back.
Fantastic. A couple quick questions to let you go here. You gave these great stories about Kemba Walker, Ben Gordon. If you don't mind, I would love to kind of throw out a few names and just either the first thing that comes to mind or a funny story about them, because I think fans really enjoy that stuff. The first one that I would ask, he was there when I was at UConn many years ago, but not that many years ago, but Rudy Gay. What do you remember about being around him, coaching him? Incredible athlete. Obviously now into his 12th year, 11th year in the NBA. Incredible talent, and most importantly, one of the best people I've ever met. Rudy Gay, when they had a time for me 5-6 years ago, took a plane down. He was playing for Toronto at the time. Had to wait 4 hours from Toronto, came back, stayed there that night just to be down there. That's who Rudy Gay is. Rudy Gay is one of the best people I've ever met. I used to kid him. He's too good a guy to be an all-star. He was not a ruthless guy. Go on, play with him, said, without question, one of the best people he's ever met. And a really talented guy. I love Rudy Gay. What about Shabazz Napier? He's somebody I've been trying to connect with here over these last couple months to talk with him. You only had him, I believe, for 1, maybe 2 seasons, but what do you remember about working with him?
Well, Shabazz is just an incredible kid, He's a tough kid at times because he's so fiery. I'll tell you the great thing I could say about him, there's no way he should make the NBA. I think he's now heading into his 6th year, and I stay in touch with him. But no one's ever pushed themselves properly to the degree he has to make himself an NBA player. He should be credited from getting his degree to the fact that he's undersized, underweight, but never underhigh. He's one of the toughest competitors and made himself an NBA player. Real proud of him.
So real quick, he sounds like the kind of guy we were talking about a minute ago where you saw something in him before everybody else did that allowed you to offer him a scholarship and want him involved in your program. What do you remember seeing in him? Because like you said, he's not a guy that would have jumped out the first time you walked in the gym as a Big East caliber player, national championship, All-American caliber player.
Yeah, I saw him down in Disney World, where they had a big tournament every summer at AU, and walked by and someone said, they don't know what he is. Is he a pointer? Is he a scorer? I looked at him after about 10 minutes and said, no, he's a player.
Yeah.
That's where he took a play. No number on him, just the fact he became a great player for us.
Very good. You mentioned Ray Allen. I mean, I think the thing that people forget about him from his time with you and his early NBA days, what a great athlete he was. I mean, everybody remembers him with Miami Heat, three-point shooting, Boston Celtics. I remember as being a great athlete, but what do you remember having him around?
Well, Ray was a guy who was a great athlete, smart. No one in my career has ever specialized shooting the way he did when he took it on. He and God rest his soul, the late Kobe Bryant used to argue who worked the hardest, which is an incredible comment to Ray, obviously. And he and Kobe used to go at it about who was working the hardest. But I can tell you what, Ray Allen, because I saw it personally, no one ever was obsessed about being great as he was and turned him into a great player.
Very good, Coach. I don't really have anything else. I want to, if you won't get mad, I want to ask about Ryan Gomes, because to this day, people, every time he comes up, I see him on TV, people remember your moment in time. Do you mind if I ask? If you can hang up on me if you want, but when you hear the name Ryan Gomes, what do you think?
A great kid. You know, I first saw him. He wasn't doing well academically at school. He weighed 270 pounds, but he had game. He really had game.
Sure.
And a terrific kid. And honestly, I had a choice that year taking Karan Butler. No, it's true.
Yeah, I know.
Or Ryan. No, people want me to take Ryan because he's local. I understand that. The way it turned out, he's still really good. I could take them both. But I took Karan Butler over him that given year, that recruiting class, and Ryan went on to have a great career and a pro career. By the way, got a chance to talk to him a few times, not in a while. But Ryan Gomes is a terrific guy and ended up being a terrific player.
Have you ever watched the video from that press conference? Because like I said, it is classic, and I don't know, the coaches that I know that I went to UConn love watching, you in that moment. I don't know if you have any comments on the press conference, but I was curious about that.
No, but I don't mind a guy asking a good question. I don't, and I don't mind even the Ryan Gomes per se, but it can't come up out of nowhere. And I guess you could ask me if we were like, 15. Excuse me, if we were like 8-20, fine. When you're 25-3, to ask the question, to which you have this other guy? No, I don't need him. We got the team we have, and that's what I like this. But no one's ever said I wasn't direct.
No, certainly not. Coach.
But honestly, the moment I said that to most people, next.
Yep.
Just next time, like next play. I yell at the kid, and I call him lazy, this and that. Let's go, next play. And I thought, the problem is that the videotape didn't go away.
Listen, I think it adds to the Jim Calhoun mystique. I think people listen, I will tell you this. There is a very prominent D1 coach right now. I won't name his name because I don't know if he wants his name out there. He coached against you. He respects the hell out of you. And he told me when I told him that I went to UConn, he goes, sometimes when I need to fire myself up, I go watch old Jim Calhoun press conferences. So I'm just saying. I'm telling you, it's a fact. I'll tell you off air who it is, but somebody that respects the hell out of you told me that probably 6 months ago. So.
I love it.
All right, Jim Calhoun, head coach, St. Joseph's. Coach, this was awesome. I like you said, stay safe, all that stuff, and same to everybody listening, obviously. But I so very much appreciate this time, and I know people are going to really, really, really enjoy listening to this. So thank you for making this happen, Coach.
My pleasure.